Greetings and welcome once again to our session in this journey that you and I are taking and to learn about this gospel. I thank you for joining in, and I hope this benefits you as much as it benefits me as well. And I'm quite aware that the many themes that I will be discussing may seem a bit more, but as the messages unfold, we'll be able to unpack everything, and so that every part of the Bible may be able to fit together. So just as you have a small bed and a tall man in the bed, you don't just chop the arms and the legs, but you just increase the bed. So thank you very much for joining in. But what is of concern is that in these teachings, I do not just teach the generic God. That's one thing I cannot do. In this secular world, God has been treated like just another concept. But this is what I want to change. I want to change the mindset so that in this political world where everyone speaks of God, but not the biblical God. We have seen in recent times when people collect their accolades, they speak of this generic God, or you find at other times people who are in different catalogs of beliefs where they speak of the same generic God together with their other gods. So we can conclude that this political secular world, it has completely evacuated the biblical God. But with the principles of sufficient reasoning, we need to explain why is it so. So the why question will give us meaning. The why question will give us purpose and objectivity. Now, I remember at one stage in my life, I had a friend. My friend and I, from about a decade ago, we used to do the gospel together. But there was something very funny about my friend that I could not understand. We used to do the gospel together. We used to evangelize. We did so many great things, doing house to house and also making sure that we preach the gospel. But there was something about my friend that he used to do. He would really love engaging in this, introducing these concepts and these new ideas that I could not comprehend. And we know that ideas have consequences. So it is anomalies, ideas and deviations, anomalies such as, and I'm quite sure you've used some of them even in your journey, like saying, let God and let go or let God, such things. But the consequence of that, it brings in some laziness, some bit of comfort, particularly in the secular world. So I don't believe Christians must be lazy so that they just become quiet and do nothing. I think we must labor hard in the gospel. It's concepts like those, concepts like I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I quite don't understand that as well, because faith and reason could work together. So if you say I'm spiritual but I'm not religious, are you a what? A floating spirit in the air? There must be objectivity. Religion, it's more social. It's about social entities. It's about reflecting your own spiritualities. Okay, so if you are religious, I mean, that's why we study sociology, that's why we study anthropology, about human behavior and all these social entities that we establish so that we can reflect our own spiritualities. It's ideas like God loves a sinner, and it's from Hinduism, by the way. Uh, God loves a sinner but hates the sin. But through the gospel, we know that God judges the sinner. It is ideas like anomalies, I call them, because they are deviations really. Like pray until something happens. Indeed, we should pray, but can prayer really change the mind of God, the sovereign God? No. Prayer must change us, but it cannot change God. Uh, so those are the ideas, anomalies, that I think they want to provoke the change in society. But in the reality of things, the Bible has been the same information from ages ago. It is united, it is consistent, and it is also coherent. So there's no contradiction. So I couldn't really make sense out of these deviations. But that's the friend that I had. But, you know, it developed into that. But also, when you take a look at world history, I mean, the world has always been dominated by world empires. I mean, even today in our culture, you've got the most powerful nations, America coming first, you have China coming second, you have Germany, you have Japan, and these have influenced greatly how society functions. And even when you take a look back about 1,700 years back, um, Christianity began essentially as a tribal group, but that developed itself politically very strong to be a dominant force. If you recall the Edict of Milan in 313, where Christianity was now accepted, and there were many group identities, many communities, but that started to fall down, and then all ethnic groups began to lose their identities, um, primarily because of the dominance of world empires. But they know